If you saw a top-tier brain surgeon offering a buy one, get one 50% off coupon on TikTok, would you book the surgery? Or would you run for your life? Exactly. Yet, you are doing the exact same thing to your own business every single time you offer a discount. Your obsession with being competitive on price is actually the exact reason your best potential clients are ignoring you. There is a specific psychological tipping point, a number where your price stops being a cost and magically transforms into a signal of trust. Today, I'm going to show you the exact data on where that threshold lies and why crossing it will actually make your sales easier, not harder. Welcome to the $9.99 trap. For decades, we were taught that slapping a .99 at the end of a price tag was the ultimate marketing hack. We call this the left-digit bias. Our human brains are incredibly lazy. We read left to right, so when we see $9.99, our brain completely ignores the change and just screams 9 instead of 10. It's a mental shortcut, a recipe designed to make things feel cheaper than they actually are. But if you are an ambitious small business owner, a B2B sales professional, or a digital marketer standing here in 2026, cheap is the absolute last thing you want to be. Using the left-digit bias in a professional setting is like putting out a bowl of sugar on your front porch. It works perfectly, but it only attracts ants. In the business world, those ants are the bargain hunters. When you price your premium service at $1,999 instead of $2,000, you are using the exact same psychological recipe as a fast food value menu. You are signaling to the market that your primary value is a discount, not a transformation. And by doing so, you attract the most difficult, demanding, and high-churn customers on the planet. Let's look at the established baseline of our current reality. Extensive e-commerce and consumer behavior data from 2024 and 2025 solidified the fact that a staggering 70% of online shopping carts are abandoned globally. While things like shipping fees get a lot of the blame, behavioral psychology researchers isolated a massive, hidden trigger for this drop-off. A price that is too low actually triggers a subconscious, low-quality red flag. When a price drops below a buyer's internal threshold for quality, it spikes their perceived risk. Their brain literally says, "Wait, if it's this cheap, it must be broken, ineffective, or a scam," and they abandon the purchase before they even hit the buy button. Your low price isn't a competitive edge. It is a giant warning label. Let's do a quick reality check. Drop a comment down below right now and be brutally honest. What is the absolute cheapest client you have ever taken on? And were they the absolute worst nightmare to deal with? Because we all know the answer is yes. Listen, I'm not immune to this either. I once spent 3 solid hours aggressively arguing with a local contractor over a $20 discount on a $2,000 job. When I finally wore him down and won the argument, I sat down, did the math, and realized I was basically paying myself $6.60 an hour just to be a jerk. Let's not be that guy. And more importantly, let's stop designing our businesses to attract that guy. To stop attracting those bargain hunters, we have to look at the engine driving their decisions, the human brain. The truth is, your client's brain is fundamentally lazy. It is constantly drowning in what psychologists call cognitive load, which is basically just the sheer, overwhelming mental exhaustion of making daily decisions. Every single day, your prospects are bombarded with choices, proposals, and endless pitches. To survive this chaos without their brains literally short-circuiting, they rely on automatic mental shortcuts. And the most powerful shortcut of all is what behavioral economists call price-quality inference. To put it in everyday terms, think of price-quality inference exactly like a smoke detector in your house. Your smoke detector doesn't pause to analyze the complex chemical composition of the air. It just senses smoke and immediately screams, "Fire!" Your client's brain does the exact same thing with money. It sees a premium price tag and immediately screams, "Quality." Let me give you a classic historical example that proves how beautifully irrational we actually are. It's known as the Chivas Regal Effect. Decades ago, the makers of Chivas Regal Scotch whiskey were struggling to survive. Sales were completely flat. Instead of changing the recipe, improving the bottle, or running some massive marketing campaign, they did something that sounds completely unhinged. They simply doubled their price overnight. And what happened? Sales absolutely skyrocketed. The liquid inside the bottle didn't change one single drop, but the higher price tag literally forced the consumer's brain to categorize it as a premium luxury experience. Now, apply that directly to your business. When you finally charge premium rates, your clients experience what we call monetary sacrifice perception. Because they are giving up more of their hard-earned cash, their brain subconsciously forces them to value your service more, simply to justify their own expense. Let's look at the established baseline of our current reality as we navigate the market today in 2026. According to a definitive 2025 consumer report tracking professional services, there is a fascinating psychological glitch happening right now. Simply increasing your price by 20% can actually decrease your customers' perceived risk by up to 35%. Just process that for a second. Raising your price makes you mathematically less risky to hire. Why? Because in a high-stakes B2B or service environment, a higher cost acts as an emotional insurance policy. The client associates the premium price with guaranteed results. They are happily paying for the peace of mind that you aren't going to vanish halfway through the project. Here's a quick reality check for you, and I want you to drop your honest answer in the comments right now. Let's say you needed LASIK eye surgery to save your vision. You have two options, a doctor charging $500 or a doctor charging $5,000. Are you seriously trusting the discount doctor with your literal eyeballs? Type 500 or 5,000 in the comments below. We all know you are choosing the expensive option because cheap feels incredibly dangerous when the stakes are high. And that is exactly how your highest-tier clients view their own businesses. Pricing your professional services like a clearance rack sweater at a discount supermarket doesn't make you competitive. It makes you look like a massive liability. It's exactly like showing up to a high-stakes first date wearing a tuxedo you bought at a gas station. Sure, technically you're wearing a suit, and technically you saved some money, but the person sitting across from you is just wondering what is fundamentally wrong with your life. You are signaling desperation, and in business, desperation is the ultimate deal breaker. So, let's strip away the psychological theories for a second and look at the cold, hard, unfeeling math. Because the reality of scaling your business isn't about being greedy. It is entirely about margin growth, which is basically the actual cash you get to take home and put in your bank account, rather than the vanity revenue numbers you brag about on LinkedIn. When we look at the definitive data shaping our market as we stand here in 2026, there is one massive separator between the professionals who are thriving and the ones who are burning out. It all comes down to a metric called pricing confidence. Think of pricing confidence exactly like the posture of a guard dog. A guard dog doesn't have to bark constantly or bite anyone to protect a house. Its sheer presence and unbothered posture do all the heavy lifting. In business, when you present your rates without flinching, without over-explaining, and without offering unprompted discounts, your posture does the heavy lifting. Let's look at the established baseline of our current reality. According to the highly respected January 2025 Bain & Company Commercial Excellence Survey, analysts uncovered a massive operational divide. They found that companies that simply possessed the confidence to raise their prices didn't just survive, they completely obliterated their competitors. Let me translate what an 11% margin gap actually means for your daily life. It means your competitor is sweating through 60-hour work weeks, endlessly hustling for low-tier leads just to keep the lights on, while you are taking home significantly more money doing a fraction of the work, simply because you refused to blink when it was time to send the invoice. Being terrified to raise your prices because you might lose a few cheap clients is exactly like staying in a toxic relationship just because they occasionally let you use their Netflix password. I want you to stop whatever you are doing and think about this dilemma for a second. If you raised your prices by just 10% today, and as a direct result, you lost 5% of your most annoying, demanding, price-shopping customers, you would mathematically still be making more money. But you would be doing it with less work, fewer headaches, and zero email anxiety at midnight. You are quite literally one confident conversation away from buying back your freedom. So, why haven't you done it? The barrier isn't the market. The barrier is that you still subconsciously believe that charging more means you have to physically deliver a different experience. Let's put that exact belief to the ultimate test. Does a higher price actually change the physical reality of what you sell? I'm going to set a trap for your intuition right now. Let's play a quick game. Imagine you are placed inside an fMRI brain scanner by researchers at Stanford and Caltech. They hand you 2 glasses of red wine. Bottle A has a price tag of $10, bottle B has a price tag of $90. I'll give you 3 seconds to guess which glass caused the pleasure centers in the subject's brains to light up with significantly more dopamine. 3, 2, 1. The answer is, they were the exact same wine. Did you guess bottle B? That's fine. What's absolutely terrifying here isn't the trick. It is that the test subjects weren't lying, and they weren't just being pretentious snobs. The $90 price tag literally acted as a neurological placebo. It physically forced their brains to release more dopamine. And this psychological glitch doesn't just stop at luxury goods. It extends directly to human biology. This is the other half of what we call the wine and medicine paradox. In a foundational behavioral economics study, researchers administered identical fake pain pills to 2 groups of people receiving mild electric shocks. Group 1 was given a placebo pill priced at 10 cents. Group 2 was given the exact same placebo, but they were told it was a premium medication priced at $2.50. The result? The more expensive pill literally killed more physical pain. And as we look at more recent medical data leading up to our current reality in 2026, the effect only gets stronger. When researchers tested Parkinson's patients using a fake saline solution, patients who were told the fake drug cost $1,500 instead of $100 showed tangibly greater physical motor improvement. Now, bring this directly back to your business. Your clients are fundamentally no different from those test subjects. When you price your consulting, your software, or your creative services like a 10-cent painkiller, your client's brain subconsciously turns down the volume on the results. But when you attach a premium price to that exact same service, you are quite literally changing the neurochemistry of how they experience your work. You are forcing them into a state of high attention. You are injecting a psychological placebo that makes your service physically work better, simply because their brain is financially invested in validating that premium expense. And that financial investment does something even more profound for your day-to-day survival. It physically alters who gets to walk through your front door. Right now, your obsession with capturing every possible lead by offering a low price is exactly like throwing a massive house party, tearing your front door off its hinges and posting your address on the internet just so more people can get in. Sure, your raw traffic metrics might look amazing on a dashboard, but by 3 a.m., you are going to have wild raccoons eating your drywall and some random guy named Chad setting your living room on fire. In the professional world, those raccoons are your discount clients. Let's look at the established baseline of our current reality. When you map out the Pareto principle, the famous 80-20 rule, across modern service and consulting businesses, a brutally clear picture emerges. Market data and widespread operational reporting confirm that a staggering 80% of all customer service complaints, scope creep, and administrative headaches come directly from the bottom 20% of a company's lowest-paying clients. But when you set a premium, high-ticket price, you instantly erect a towering, high-security fence around your operations. That high price acts as a ruthless, highly effective bouncer. It doesn't just passively block people, it actively repels the bargain hunters and the emotional vampires. If you still think a cheap price buys you customer gratitude, I want you to look at the screen right now. On the left, we have a real, unhinged 1-star review. It's a massive, 5-paragraph essay from a buyer having a complete meltdown, all because their $5 digital download didn't include 24/7 personal tech support. Now look at the right side of the screen. This is a glowing 5-star review for a $5,000 premium service. It is exactly 1 sentence long. It simply says, "Brilliant strategy, executed flawlessly, highly recommend." The $5 buyer wants to own your soul, The $5,000 buyer just wants the result. When you finally make the decision to cross that pricing threshold, you realize a fundamental truth about business. By raising your prices, you aren't just increasing your revenue, you are literally buying back your own mental health. And once you have that high security fence in place, you can finally focus on the actual math of scaling your empire. Because as we navigate this market in 2026, scaling isn't about stuffing more cheap leads into a crowded, broken funnel. It is entirely about extracting higher profit per lead. We call this the 3.4 times scaling formula.
Now listen, I used to look at financial formulas, customer acquisition ratios, and profit margin spreadsheets, and honestly, my brain would just shut down. I thought it was just spicy alphabet soup designed by accountants to bore me to death. I am a creative, not a math professor. If you double your price today, you only need half the sales to stay exactly where you are. That is just basic math. But here's the secret. Your profit margin doesn't just double, it often triples or quadruples. Let's look at the definitive unit economics we are seeing right now in 2026. Switching your business from a $500 commodity service to a $2,500 prestige offer fundamentally rewires your survival. Because your profit margin is now so massive, you can mathematically afford to spend 5 times more money on customer acquisition. If your competitor can only afford to spend $50 to acquire a client, but you can effortlessly afford to spend $250, you win. Every single time. You get to buy the best advertising real estate on the internet, hire the best sales team, and completely crush every single competitor in your niche. They will literally have no idea how you are growing so fast, while you are basically bringing a bazooka to a water balloon fight. This mathematical tipping point, where your high price actually becomes your ultimate competitive advantage, is what economists call the Veblen Threshold. It is the exact threshold where a service stops being a replaceable utility and becomes an undeniable status symbol. Before we move to the final step, I want you to make a public declaration in the comments right now. Are you currently trapped pricing yourself as a commodity? Or are you ready to cross the Veblen threshold and be the prestige option? Type the word commodity or prestige down below. How do you actually look a client in the eye or get on a Zoom call and say this new, massive number out loud without your voice shaking, sweating through your shirt, and ruining the entire deal? Most ambitious business owners completely fail at this exact moment of truth, which is exactly why my next video reveals the specific, 3-step psychological script used by the top 1% of sales professionals to close high-ticket deals without ever feeling sleazy, pushy, or salesy. Click the video on the screen right now, and let's go close some high-ticket deals.